everybody, welcome back to my channel. Look, brace check, Alicia, brace check, brace check. You'll have a bonus video this week. Well, not really, maybe tomorrow or whatever. We did friend mail. I got some beautiful friend mail, and I just want to cry, cry, cry. I also got a gorgeous gift from my family in New York, and again, all I can do is hear my sister Alicia like, hold it, so I can breathe. It's what it is. It's when people are financially generous, it helps me breathe. So I am making this video specifically. Somebody reached out to me and mentioned that there's a lady that has a channel where she reacts to videos of mine, which I thought was very flattering, actually. When I saw it the first time, I was like, oh, not so flattering, but okay, you know, whatever it is, her opinions, whatever. So somebody had reached out, and this was a while ago. I feel like I was in Texas last year or the year before. Yeah, last year maybe. I don't remember. Maybe last year. And somebody reached out to me again and said that I needed to watch this one where the title was Karen Smith, aka Jeri-Ann. So I was like, okay, that's weird. I don't know. It's like, because Karen is like that, you know, the person who complains about everything is Karen. I was wondering if she'd be like, call me Karen. So I was like, I didn't really think I was a Karen, but okay. So I watched the video and I did address her concerns in the comments. I don't think every single one of them, but I tried to do the ones that I remembered as it went on. There's a couple of things I thought was important that I just touch on, because if she feels this way and her subscribers feel this way, then maybe other people feel this way. And maybe some things just need clarification. Now, if you're a longtime watcher and subscriber and you never missed a video, because I know so many of you have never missed a video, then this is just going to be moot for you, because you're going to be like, she said that, she said that, she said that. The first thing I wanted to address, and this is in no random order. This is in a random order because I don't remember the order to which I wrote things. And I could just read you the comments that I wrote back because I tried to address everything. First of all, also, if you see any glitter, I just got friend mail that had glitter in it, and it said each piece of glitter was a kiss from an angel. And I just have them all over me now. Thank you, Betty. First one I would like to address, as like in random order, is, did I graduate from high school? So the truth is, I was intended to be the class of 1988, West Hempstead High School, class of 1988. And I dropped out. I can't really say 12th grade, 11th grade, because I kind of stopped going at the end of 10th grade. Did summer school for 10th grade, social studies and English, and then went back to repeat the 10th grade math and science, because you didn't have to have the science and math for 4 years when I was in high school. And then I started junior year. I think I went for like a couple of months. Excuse me. And then I stopped going, and I think in senior year I just went for the first day, and then I didn't go back. And the same thing. So it was the same thing with I took summer school and da-da-da. So after my father died, my father had a book, and it's called My Father's Legacy. And in the back of this book, he wrote something for each of his children, I think, except my oldest brother. That said, and the thing that he said for me was, I wish Jeri would get her graduate from high school. So my father died in February. Actually, yesterday was 12 years. February of 2010. He died February 7, 2010. And I went to pack his stuff out, go to get his stuff from the rehab facility where he died. Well, actually, he died in the hospital, but the rehab facility that he left to go to the hospital. And I saw that they had this, like, help yourself to a newsletter. Okay, that's an inspection sticker for my new nightgown, was just stuck to my body. Excuse me. They had this, like, local newspaper bulletin thing. And in it, it said that they have the extension, basically that's what they call the school extension, you can get an external high school diploma or a GED. So I went in and I met with the lady. I called her up and I said, I want to take my GED test. So I sat down with her and I did the, like, they give you a test to see what you need to learn before. And I had gotten such high grades on it. She said, why don't you go for your external high school diploma? It looks like a regular high school diploma and non-equivalency. And I was like, well, what do I have to do for that? And she's like, honestly, with your grades, minimal work. So this was, most people did this program for 1 or 2 years, depending on what they needed. I was about to do it in 2.5 months. So once a week I met with her. She gave me an assignment. I did the assignment. She graded me and I took my final exam and I passed and I graduated with the Long Beach High School class of 2010. So the full story is I did drop out of high school, but I went back when I was right before I turned 40 and I graduated from high school with all of my family there except for my husband and my dad. Okay, so, and then we went to Friendly's because that's family tradition. Enjoying the rest of this cough drop. Forgive me. So that's that answer. One of the questions was about my cancer. So it's kind of hard to believe, but a lot of people don't believe that I have cancer. Okay. I don't really know that there's anything I can do about that because I'm not going to share my personal medical files with you anymore that I have. Like I showed you my scans, but I don't feel comfortable sharing reports. It does have like doctor's opinions on there, like things that I just don't feel comfortable sharing. And it's really like, that being said, I was in the hospital having surgery. I was in the rehab recovering for 2 weeks almost. And I'm not 100% sure of a few things. So there's a couple of questions that I have for you guys. Maybe you guys can tell me in the comments. What did I ever do or say on this channel to make you doubt the validity of my claims? I guess is what I mean to say. What did I ever do or say to make you think that I would be making this up? Now, here's what I want to know. Some people have said I'm doing it for sympathy. Okay, great. Okay. I don't get it, but okay. Some people say that I'm doing it for attention. Okay, but I was getting attention before doing DIYs. It's not like this is like, I don't understand. Like, why would I don't know. It's so hard for me to wrap my head around why, who in your life did you know that you have such dishonest people in your life that you feel like you cannot trust what I'm saying to you about my life. So it's very, very hard for me to understand, like to wrap my head around that. Now, I know that there was some issues that Jimmy had because he does have some issues, and I'm not disparaging my husband. I'm not bullying my husband. I'm not picking on my husband, but he does have some issues. He does have some like, some like listening issues to his wife. He has some cognitive issues. He doesn't really understand certain things and repeats them out of order. And even does it like here with me, and I just have to, I just adjust what he says or correct him or lead him down the right road or ask him. Sometimes I have to ask him, did you mean this? Because I don't understand what you're trying to ask me. So I don't know if it's something that he said that contradicts something that I said. Maybe. But again, he has said things on his channel that he has like redacted because he knows he doesn't always say things the right way. He says a lot of things very passionate when they come out, when he's upset and that type of thing. But he doesn't really think. Like one of the perfect examples is he said I was downgraded to stage 2. I really have no idea why he even, like that wasn't even a conversation that anybody had in any of the doctor's appointments, that I was getting better or downgraded or any of that stuff. So I wasn't sure if it was something to do with what Jimmy said compared to what I said, that you don't want to believe me. But here's a couple of things. So not only does he have a little issue sometimes with his memory and with his cognitive ability, but he also isn't always at all the appointments. I am always at all the appointments because they're my appointments. A lot of times he gets secondhand information, and because of, I know he doesn't always, he gets overwhelmed with information sometimes. that I always just give him the things that I feel like he can comprehend at the moment without overwhelming him. Again, not dissing my husband. This is stuff that he knows. This is not, I'm not bad-mouthing him. I'm not picking on him. I'm not belittling him. So I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that he said something that contradicts what I said or vice versa that makes you doubt me. It's possible. I still don't understand what you think my motivation would be. So I feel like there's a preconceived notion that fat people like to lay in bed all day. I'm not one of those fat people. The reason I say this is because the reason I question this for you guys is because the first 4 years, December 2016 till June, July 2021. So the first almost 5 years of my channel, I was up and doing things and walking around and shopping and all these things. So even when I was tired and I would vlog from the couch telling you that I spent all my spoons for the day or whatever, you know, I was still doing it. It's so hard for me to understand why you came to this conclusion. Now, I don't understand also the motivation that you might think that I might have for like collecting crafting supplies but never crafting. That all of a sudden I just want to stop teaching crafts. Like, I don't understand that either. You know, it's like, to me, why? You know, it's like, why? Why go through all the work of rearranging the craft room if I never wanted to craft again? Why be heartbroken when the doctor says that I can't bear any weight on my leg for the next 3 months? But again, you just have to take my word for that, I guess. I record my doctor's appointments on a bridge, but I don't have their permission to share them with you. So there's no point. You just have to take my word for it, or Jim's word for it, or Julie's word for it. Like, I really don't know what else to tell you. Pain is subjective. My sister Jane and I talk about this pain tolerance that my family has is extraordinary, or for us, we think it is, because, you know, she's like, look at you. You know, she's like, you walked around with a tumor on your leg, and for how long before it fractured, and before it had a problem, and before it hurt? And I was like, yeah, I was growing cancer for years, and I just didn't even know what, I just thought it was menopause or arthritis or whatever. Now, I want to clarify a couple of things, timeline-wise. First of all, I have been going to the doctor. I do go for my annual checkups, my annual physicals every year. I have been 4 years. So it's not like I don't get annual workup to say, like, I didn't just grow cancer and keep my eyes shut the whole time. You know, there is no test to definitively, you know, this other than biopsy. You know, scans and biopsies is the only thing you could tell it's renal cell carcinoma. The doctor, the oncologist, said, there's no mammogram for kidney cancer. He's like, there's no colonoscopy for kidney cancer. So, timeline, I think people are confused. So people, the mentioned in the comments of the video was that I laid in bed for months, or a month even, without going to the doctor. And that's just a misremembering, I think. So I hurt my leg initially the Friday before Mother's Day. We went to shopping in Springfield, and the next day I felt like my calves were burning. And I figured that's just lactic acid. It's my first time doing any kind of exercise since the pandemic. You know, I really wasn't out doing anything. And then the burning in my left calf went away in 2 days. The burning in my right calf the next day extended to my knee and to the back of my hip, and then to my right kidney, and then to the center of my back, and basically never went away from my knee. Now, I wasn't in bed because my knee hurt. And I wasn't using the walker because my knee hurt. I initially was using the cane, and then I went to the walker because my knee was weak. I felt like it was going to go out on me. Now, my sister mentioned pain tolerance. Would it have hurt you? And like, I didn't feel like it hurt enough to make a difference. Listen, I was an athlete all growing up. I know how to walk off a sprain, walk off a strain. I've had arthritis for 30 years. I know what it feels like, and I know how to deal with it. And I just like, rest, anti-inflammatories, watch your diet, stretch, and exercise. So I did that. I was doing all that. Hold on. So that's what I was doing. I wasn't self-diagnosing. I just didn't think it was bad enough to go to the doctor for, because when you live with this kind of thing, you're used to doing it. Now, I crafted in June and July, and July. I never finished the video from July. That's the pizza pan. Because I had my appointment with my primary on July 21st. I called her on the 10th. Because I figured it wasn't going away. It's been almost 2 months and it wasn't going away. It wasn't getting any better. So, but this whole time I was still driving. I said to Jim, do you remember I was driving and you would like help me drag my leg into the car because it was so weak? And he's like, yeah. So I was driving, I was cooking at the table, I was going to the living room, I was using the walker to go to the living room. I was having issues making it back to the bathroom, like all of these things because I wasn't walking fast enough. That's when I switched to the walker. I switched to the walker because I could walk on the walker faster when I needed to emergently go to the bathroom. So it wasn't without its, incidences, obviously, but, for the most part, that's, I was self-sufficient for those 2 months. I made an appointment on the 10th. I got an appointment on the 21st. So I went to see my primary on the 21st. She wanted to get an MRI and x-ray on my knee. Okay. That was Wednesday the 21st. On Saturday night, the 25th, aka Sunday morning the 26th. Saturday night, I went to go get off the couch and my hip hurt. I was like, again, I have arthritis. So it's like, oh, pain. Wasn't unbearable. Just, it hurt, So I hobbled into bed. The next morning when I went to get up, I couldn't sit up. I was like in tears. It was Sunday. I had an appointment to see the orthopedist on Wednesday. And the doctor had prescribed me pain medication that I was just waiting for it to come to the pharmacy. So on Sunday when I woke up and it was unbearable, I checked the app. There was no medication at CVS yet. So on Monday, I checked the app. Finally, medication was at CVS. I started taking the pain medication on Monday. I was getting some relief from the hip, but really I could barely sit up. I couldn't sit up for more than 60 seconds or even 60 seconds. I think it was like 30 seconds when I first started. And I couldn't walk on it. Couldn't bear weight on it. I was using the walker. I was leaning almost totally on the walker for the best I could, And I was laying in the back of the van because that's how I couldn't climb in the van because my hip was not bearing any weight at all. Nobody told me not to bear weight. It was like I couldn't. It was weak and I couldn't bear weight on it. So when I would go to the doctor, Jim put me in a wheelchair and it was really hard to sit. I couldn't sit for more than 30 seconds. So every time we get to the next thing, I'd be like, someplace I could lay down. So I found these benches in the hallway. I'd go and I'd lay down. Go get the x-ray, go lay down on the bench. Go get the second x-ray, go lay down on the bench. Go up to see the doctor, lay down on the bench. The doctor wants to see you now. Is there a place for me to lay down when I get in there? Yes. Okay, come lay down. Okay, good. Go lay down on the table. And I was there until the doctor gave me a shot in my knee after we talked about all of the tests and stuff. Now, this is the appointment where the doctor missed the tumor and the fracture in my knee because he was focused on my hip because my hip is where the pain was. But of course, we know pain can radiate from one place to another and cause all kinds of issues. This was August 4th. And I know it was August 4th because it's the day before my anniversary, my wedding anniversary. On August 4th is when I went. The medication's starting to help a little bit. I'm starting to be able to sit up for 25, 35, 45 seconds. Like every day is a little bit. I'm doing a little bit more, and I'm pushing myself a little bit further. The doctor upped the pain medication. I said it's pain medication, but it was gabapentin, which is a works on your nerves. So she upgraded that, and once she did that, I could sit up all day. I could barely feel the pain in the hip. So my leg was still weak because it never really got strength back. But at this point, so that was on Wednesday. He said hip replacement. Go home, gotta lose weight. Okay, so that weekend, I went home. I did some PT. I started to bend and exercise and stretch and all these things. I shared the doctor's notes with my friend who's a doctor. And that's when she told me that there was a tumor and a fracture. I was like, oh. And she recommended to not do all those things. And I was like, oh, no, I'm doing them. So, got a hold of the orthopedist on Monday. And he said, apologetically, he didn't get that knee test results because the primary had ordered them. And no, to not bear any weight on the leg, to not stretch, to not bend over, all of these things. He was going to send me for an MRI. So I'm in bed because I'm not supposed to be doing all these things. I had that beautiful friend. Well, actually, we tried to buy a commode. None of the commodes I could afford fit me, that I could wipe myself. I finally got one that fit me. I couldn't really wipe myself, but this was only an issue if I went number 2. And then my lovely friend, sent me a commode, a plus-size commode, that the bucket fell out of a couple of times, as you guys remember. I have that solved now. That is the commode I currently use, and it has a 5-gallon bucket under it. So if the thing ever falls, it actually just falls down. 5-gallon bucket isn't as wide as the lips of the commode bucket, so even if it was to fall off, it would just fall right there. Sorry, my mouth hurts. It's a lot of talking. I did a lot of talking today. So I'm toileting here to save myself from having to bear weight on this leg that the doctor told me not to do anything with. He said, you have a walker? He's like, use your walker. I said, okay. Don't put any weight on the leg. I'm like, okay. So I said to Jim, I don't know how I can use the walker and go into the bathroom. I said, because to get into the bathroom before, when my leg was weak, but I was still allowed to put pressure on it, I would stand, turn the walker sideways, get it in there, and then take a big hop. But now I can't do that anymore. So at this point, Jim is like listening to his followers who think that I'm nuts and making it all up. And Jim is having a bit of a meltdown and he wants to get a job. So Jim goes to get a job while I'm home trying to figure out how to take care of myself and get to these appointments. And I have an MRI scheduled, and I go to do the MRI, and before Jim started his job. And unbeknownst to me, 2 MRIs were supposed to be done at the same time, and she wanted me to lay there for 2 hours, and I was not in a comfortable position to lay there for 2 hours. I was in a lot of pain, and I could only make it through 1 hour. So that one got scrapped. So then they make an appointment for 10 days later, I think. And I had stomach issues. I had diarrhea all day. I couldn't go. Obviously, you can't go you can't stop the middle of your MRI to go poop. So finally, I said, I need one as soon as possible. And they said, the next one we have, the closest we can get you to is Springfield. And I was like, my friend was here to drive me, and it was the following Friday, and I was like, can you take me to Springfield? She said yes. So Springfield I went. I laid down in the back of the car, drove to Springfield, got the MRI. It was at the MRI that they saw multiple tumors up the femur. That didn't show on the x-ray because they cut the x-ray off before the femur's at the tumor at the top of the femur. They saw the fracture, this hairline, but going straight up the bone. They saw how invasive the tumor was. I showed you guys those initial MRI pictures. He wants me to go for a nuclear bone scan, a biopsy, MRI, and a CAT scan of my chest. First CAT scan of my leg. No, the bone scan of my leg was first. So I did the bone scan, and the bone scan was a full body bone scan. Unbeknownst to them. The guy who did it said, look, I have you here. I have you pumped with all this medicine. I'm just going to do the full head to toe. And I was like, okay, I don't care. Whatever works. And that's where they found multiple areas. So I think part of the confusion that I picked up from the video is that the nuclear bone scan is what showed all of the dark areas. That's the picture that's in black and white with a black skeleton with all of the dark areas to show where the cancer is. This is not a CAT scan. On the CAT scan, everything's dark and the tumor is white on the CAT scan. I'm pretty sure. The MRI, the tumor. I think I might have just misspoke. It might be the MRI where it shows up white. One of the imaging tests, and now that I've had so many, they're melding together. One of the imaging tests, the bone shows up as dark and the tumor shows up as white, and one of them is the opposite. So I don't really know. So this person's, I guess her point that she was trying to make was that her CAT scan showed that just arthritis lights up black. And I'm not denying that at all. That could possibly well be 100%, but I'm just going by what the doctor said. The doctor said, this is a tumor, this is a tumor, this is a tumor, this is a tumor. I mean, I trust him. I don't know what to tell you. Do you guys know that I don't want to have cancer? I said in the video, in the comment to her video, I said, I'm very happy living in this house. I think that every time that I talk about my mother-in-law smoking in the house, or people talk about it in the comments, or Jim talks about it in his video, they think that I'm complaining about it. I'm not complaining about it. I don't complain about it. It's just matter of fact. Matter of fact is I can't sell my wares because they all smell like smoke. Matter of fact is I can't, if I go to someone's house that they don't smoke, I can smell all of my clothes that smell like smoke. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you that's how it is. It's not a complaint. I think the only disheartening thing is about that I can't really use air fresheners to combat the thing. She said that I mentioned my mother-in-law had an adverse reaction to fragrance and that I like candles, but I said to her, I don't like candles. Jim likes candles. I only put a candle on the candle warmer when we're having company as per my mother-in-law's permission. She knows that it's going to be hard for her breathing, but most of the time it is anyway because our guests don't always have fragrance-free laundry detergent at home and don't always have like fragrance-free shampoo and conditioner. When they come and stay, they all smell anyway, so it's like, why not? Like she's already taken her medicine, might as well. This way, it's just to accommodate the guests. I actually don't even have the candle warmer in the bathroom anymore. Haven't in a very long time. What I do for air freshener when I need to, if I find it's overwhelming with the smoke, which I don't really find overwhelming anymore with the Dyson air purifiers around the house. They seem to do a great job with the breathing part of the air, but it still absorbs into the smoke and the walls and stuff. But I used to put like lemon slices, orange slices, and like cinnamon sticks or clove and stuff on a stove. Like nothing with fragrance. It was just like a cooking thing. I would just cook on the stove. Cinnamon and vanilla in a pot or whatever. So anyway. So that's another thing. It is her house. It is her house. I'm not trying to say it's not, and I'm not saying she can't smoke here. It's her house. She can smoke here all she wants. If I do talk about the fact that everything's smoky, then that's just a matter of fact. It's just, I'm not complaining. Again, this is the sacrifice we make living together so we can be here for each other. It's just what it is. Back to the timeline. Because it went so fast, but also so slow, it's got a lot of people questioning what happened, you know? Not everybody watches every video, but I know you guys who do know exactly what I'm talking about. Next on the timeline was, I got my MRI, got my biopsy. Both of those were done in Springfield. The biopsy was done with Julie here. That's when we got the call that it was renal cell carcinoma and not sarcoma. We weren't sure that it wasn't bone cancer. So before I had my abdomen and chest CT, I got the biopsy in my thigh, which happens to be, coincidentally, the thigh that they biopsied was the one that I ended up fracturing. So I don't know if they have anything to do with each other, but it's just, I guess, a weird coincidence, or maybe not. Who knows? Sorry. I might have to try to do this in 2 parts. So biopsies, all the tests were like, do the tests. Meet with the radiologist, oncologist, or the interventional radiologist, oncologist, or whatever. This is what I want to do. But I want to see somebody stabilize that bone before I start taking the fracture down, because there's almost no bone left on the outside. Finally get a doctor to see me, and he's in the city, and he's a specialist, and he's one of the only specialists in the country, so I'm happy to see him. So I go, my sister's here at this point, we can go into the city and we can see the specialist. I didn't know that I was going in for an appointment and having surgery. I thought I was going in for an appointment to meet with the doctor and discuss the plan. So when I went in for my appointment on November 9th, November 8th. What day was that? It was almost 2 months, right? No. Almost a month. That's what it was. So it was November. So November 8th, I went in. Oh, yeah, it was November 8th, because I went to the eye doctor before that. Okay. November 8th, I went in thinking I was just meeting with the doctor, and he was like, we're going to admit you, and we're going to have this ablation done. We're going to cut the blood circulation off to the tumor, and then we're going to take the tumor out on Tuesday, and we're going to take the tumor out on Thursday, and then we're going to have the second surgery on Tuesday. I'm like, what? So that was a lot to wrap my head around, because it all just like snowballed. And my sister and Lisa were like spinning like the same, just like, what is happening? Like, we came in for one thing and here we are for something else. And then I was in the hospital for, I think, almost 2 weeks. And then I went to the rehab for almost 2 weeks. And people wanted to know, they think I'm depressed because when I was at the rehab, I was so happy and I was in such good spirits. I will remind you that from November 1st till December 15th, I did not have any chemotherapy. Yep. December 15th, I started immunotherapy. November 7th, I had my last immunotherapy. But I didn't have chemotherapy for about 6 weeks. And of course, that's the chemotherapy is what's kicking my butt. It makes me exhausted. It hurts my mouth. I'm having all the side effects. The lippers, the digestion discomfort, whatever. That's one of the reasons that I was so much more like chatty and social and stuff when I was at the rehab, because I felt better, you know. I don't feel better now. The chemotherapy doesn't make you feel better. It's supposed to be making you better, so I believe it's making you better, but I don't feel better right now. So, got home, started a week later, started the immunotherapy and chemotherapy, and the rest has been just follow-ups and stuff. So the doctor wanted me to see me after 6 weeks after post-op. And I went back to get the stitches taken out. Actually, I went back to get the stitches taken out the first time. This follow-up was 6 weeks from post-surgery. Excuse me, my throat hurts. At the 6-week mark, I'm thinking I'm getting approval to go ahead and start running. Turns out they took an x-ray before the appointment, and I had collapsed the tumor at the top of my femur that was fractured before. The one that the doctor here, the orthopedist here, was afraid would happen. He was the one he was afraid would break, because I mentioned it previously. Even though the tumor at the bottom of my bone was bigger, it took up about, it wasn't as invasive in the bone. It was very invasive in the bone, but it wasn't as invasive as the bone as this little tiny tumor was, because the bone's really tiny at the top. So apparently it's a lot to fracture a femur. Like, it takes a lot of either force and or tumor. One of the things that she said in her video is that her hip replacement was cemented in. The rod was cemented in, and she was walking the next day. And I did mention to her in the comments, and I'll mention to you guys, that the hope was that they were going to do that, just that. The first surgery on Thursday was to remove the tumor, fill it in with cement, and add a plate to the side with screws. They knew the second surgery on Tuesday was going to be to insert the rod, with the hopes that we keep the tumor on the top of the femur from fracturing. But during the surgery, the tumor at the top of the femur fractured. So I no longer have just getting a rod inserted in my leg. I now have a broken bone. Another thing I mentioned to her is it seems that I weigh a lot more than she does. So obviously I have extra precautions on how much weight I can't bear on my leg. So if your doctor tells you toe touch weight bearing and you weigh 120 pounds, he might tell you don't lift anything. Or, he might take your restrictions off earlier. But as it is, I lift 320 pounds now. And obviously not 100% because some of it's in my leg. But you understand what I'm saying. So that precaution's obviously going to be different. I was devastated when I heard the news. I had shot a video. I don't have permission to show it to you. I cried like a baby. Jimmy cry too, because I was devastated that I wasn't going to get to come home and just be myself again. 3 more months. I called my sisters. My sisters were like, look, it's 90 days. I was like, they're like, 90-day fiance. They're like, look, you're already 1 day down. It's only 89 more days. And this is what they did to encourage me. So if you don't believe me, there isn't really anything that I can do. I mentioned in a previous video that somebody said in the comments of one of my videos that until they had definitive proof. And I was like, I don't know. What do you want to shrink yourself down to, like the little pod, and I'll swallow you and you can like look around? I don't really know what. I showed you my scans. You were out there for my surgery, out there for my doctor. I showed you my wounds. I don't really know what else I can do for you. So, sorry. If you don't like my content, you can always unsubscribe and leave. It's really okay. I'm not going to hold you accountable. I just don't want you to try to disparage anybody, including me. The last thing I did was mention, because she said in her video that as Americans we do have free speech, freedom of speech. However, we can get sued for slander. We can get sued for slander. If you're disparaging my reputation, I can sue you because you're falsely disparaging my reputation. You think it's not, but it is. And I have the proof, and I will win. I'm not going to sue anybody. But it's not just having an opinion on someone else's life. She has a platform. She mentions all these things publicly. Publicly, she's disparaging me. And I do have a case if I want to. So it's not just like we all have freedom of speech. She's not a reporter. She doesn't have freedom of the press. Not the same rules don't pertain to everybody, just so you know. But even the press can get sued for slander if it turns out to be lies that they told. So I know my truth. I know the truth. Like I said, I've been at every doctor's appointment. None of my brothers and sisters, none of my sisters, friends, or husband can say that. I've been at every appointment. I go to follow up with the surgeon in April. I hopefully will have my full body scans by then, because Thursday, I guess, well, not when you're watching this, Thursday, tomorrow will be for you guys. Thursday, I go for my 7th immunotherapy, and after my 8th, we can go ahead and schedule scans to see if we're making any progress. I praise to Jesus we are, because I'd hate to have to go through all of this for nothing. But the last thing I want to touch on is more personal. People in this country can be very fat phobic. And does that mean they actually fear fat people some? But really what it means is they really have an opinion about people who are overweight. That they're lazy, that they're unhealthy, that they're this, that they're that. Like when I first started my channel, somebody got on there and was like, oh, you take all your Social Security money and you go to Dollar Tree. I was like, I'm not on Social Security. What the hell is she talking about? I never said I was on Social Security. I never said I was on assistance of any type. I don't even know what she's talking about. So it's a presumption she made based on my size and I don't know what else. I think part of it, the reason I want to mention it here is because I think there's a preconceived notion that fat people just want to lay around and be lazy. And the fact that I have to be either in bed at 30 degrees or in my chair, not bearing weight on me, not being able to go shopping, not being able to do X, Y, and Z, that people think I enjoy it. And I don't understand that at all. I don't understand it at all. Before I got sick, I loved going shopping. You guys know that. That was the channel. Even when I couldn't craft because my eyes started to go bad, I couldn't craft as much because my eyes started to go bad, and I couldn't edit videos the same, or I couldn't do comments anymore, I would still go shopping and share it with you. Why do you think that I can't? Like, why would I do this? What hurt in your past makes you feel like I would go to those lengths to do this to fool everybody? Ask yourself that, because I can't answer it. I can't. I don't know the answer to that. Only you can. So I put in the thing, I said I'll put that out in the void, because it's not something I really need an answer to. It's something you need to ask yourself. Well, why don't I believe Jerry? Why don't I believe that things just don't make sense to me? But what does that mean? What would you like me to explain to you? It'll help you make sense if I can explain to you what doesn't make sense. And that was kind of like what I kind of got from the video a little bit, was like, some things aren't kosher. Some things don't add up. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to explain to you that I can explain to you? And that's why I wrote this really long comment. One of the things was my finances. She said, you talk about never having money and then you got an Apple Watch. And I was like, or something along those lines. That's not a quote. That's like paraphrasing. I was like, well, first of all, she goes, Jim has an Apple Watch, but he never wears it. Why don't you ask him for his? And I was like, well, first of all, I did. When I first got sick, I said, can I use your Apple Watch? And he said, well, I wear it to work every day. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that, because he goes to work 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm awake, but I don't watch him get dressed or whatever. So I said, oh, I didn't realize that. And I don't know if he was just saying that to detract from the fact that he had already ordered me one. But that's what he told me. And he does wear it. I've watched him wear it a lot. He doesn't wear it all the time, 24/7 like I do. But he does wear it to work. And he does wear it when he goes shopping and stuff. But not really when he's just home vlogging and cooking and stuff. I am able to afford this because I have a really great phone plan that allowed Jim to put almost no money down. I think it was like, he told me it was like $35 down, and then pay off this watch every month. That's how he can afford it. And it was the same way with the iPad that I got him. If I ever complain about money, it's never a permanent break. It's not permanent. I don't have a fixed income. So it's not like I have no money now. Like today, this week, maybe I'm strapped this week. Maybe things are tight right now, but then paycheck's coming or payday's coming, and then YouTube payday's coming. The hard part is YouTube payday's only once a month. So if you don't budget properly, sometimes the paycheck's so low you can't budget properly. So we have Jimmy's paycheck kick in. So it's like, there's not one like, oh, you're so poor, how can you afford an Apple Watch? I never said I was poor. I was poor growing up. I never said I was poor now. What I am now is less financially stable than I was before the pandemic. That's all. Before I got sick and I can do other content. That's all. So, listen, I love you guys. If nobody's told you today that you are loved, remember, you can always come here and hear it. I hope this explains a few things or a ton of things or who knows. And as always, you guys take care. God bless. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, the shadow. Did you see the shadow?